If you don't have a license, then you don't have the authority to actually collect rent if the property is an HMO. But then it's up to you to make sure you know whether or not your local authority has changed the rules all of a sudden. A London landlord has been forced to repay their tenants £15,000 despite being owed £11,000 in rent arrears. Now, stay tuned so that you don't get caught out by this very, very annoying trap. But first, before we crack on with this video, let me tell you about the Baker Street Property Meet. It's the UK's #1 property investors networking meet. 300 property investors meet each month, and you can join myself and Andrew Roberts.
Hi Ranjan.
Hi. At the
welcome everybody. Yeah, welcome everybody to the Baker Street Property Meet, end of the month each month.
So join us, get your tickets at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com, find out what we are discussing and talking about this month. So let's crack on with this video. Landlord forced to pay tenant 15 grand despite having 11k worth of rent arrears. What's all this about, and how do these guys avoid falling into that trap?
Well, this is an interesting one. The landlord applied to the council because he heard he might need a licence for his HMO. It was only a 3-person HMO. The council said in March 21, nah, you don't need one. That's fine. In August 21, the council introduced an additional licensing scheme where the landlord had to register his HMO, but failed to do so.
Now the question is, of course, he was told at one time that it wasn't required. It's not that yes, he failed to do so, but he might not have even known.
Correct. I mean, that is one thing, he might not have known. However, the landlord did receive emails from the council, and that was disclosed in court, and the landlord had chosen to ignore those emails. Now, chosen to ignore? Spam filter? Too busy? On holiday in August? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing about this case is he was given emails, sent correspondence about it, and it's not about burying your head in the sand.
Totally.
But there will be some people who maybe have 1 or 2 properties in a particular local authority, they live far away, and they simply don't know. They haven't received the local rag or any communication.
Yeah, well, we know a lot of people who invest out of area. They invest out of area because it's perhaps cheaper somewhere else, or the yields are better somewhere else. It's very plausible. So make sure that you do constantly stay on top of what's happening on your local authority's website. But to me, what was frustrating was the landlord had to repay £15,000 of rent, even though the tenants owed him £11,000. But the rules are, and this is the real kick in the teeth, if you're found guilty of a breach, you have to repay your tenant's rent. The rent they've paid you, you need to repay it, despite the fact there's arrears.
Now, I get the rules, and if you need a license, you need a license, and that's fair enough.
Totally.
I mean, tell us what you think in the comments below. Of course, like, comment, subscribe to this channel for more updates. But in this case, you could argue that keep things simple. They hadn't paid 11 grand of rent, so just offset the 11 against the 15. So it's a massive cash flow hit for the landlord, because what they're essentially saying is, yeah, hand over 15k to the tenant and then pursue the rent arrears through another court process.
They're not permitted to pursue those rent arrears through another court process because they were illegally letting, is how it's perceived by the law. They did not have a license to collect the rent.
No, I get that, but the 15k, that's why the 15k is being repaid to the
tenant.
To the tenant in full.
Yeah.
Despite the 11k that's owed, well, that's not owed back.
No, the 11k is not due back. It's a refund of what has already been paid.
I see. So basically, no, I get where you're coming from now. Yes. So basically, they had 11k rent arrears, but they had paid 4k to the landlord. They must have done, because it's 15k going back.
They paid £2,145 a month for a period of time. I haven't got the start date of this tenancy, but the inference of what I've read is they are 15k that they've paid out of their pocket, and that's being refunded.
Oh, sorry, this is more, we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole, I'm just trying to get technically correct here. Apparently, the original claim was for £25,000, but in a tribunal that was reduced to £15,000. But anyway, the long and short of it is, if you don't have a license, then you don't have the authority to actually collect rent if the property is an HMO. But then it's up to you to make sure you know whether or not your local authority has changed the rules all of a sudden. And how do you do that? Go on the website every week or what?
Well, the only thing you can do, and Google has this useful feature where if a particular web page is changed, that it gives you a notification, an update of something changing. So go to your local authority and stick a watch on that page.
Then that'll be a nightmare. Rubbish bins will not be collected this Thursday. They'll be collected Friday instead. You'll get all that sort of nonsense as well.
Unfortunately, as a landlord, you're a business owner and you've got to comply with the rules.
So what do you think about these rules? What do you think about this whole thing? Do you think that councils are just getting a bit overzealous because they ain't got any money? Do you think it's going to be just a license for tenants to kind of freeload? What are your views? Let us know in the comments below.
And do you think additional licensing is a good thing, or additional licensing should be scrapped? There should be, theoretically, one national standard that covers the country. Make it simple.
Absolutely, because if you think about it, why is a flat in Newham more riskier because it's let to 3 people than in some other town? It simply doesn't make sense. There is no difference in risk profile. So what's going on here?
Correct.
Let us know what you think in the comments below, and join us at the next Baker Street Property Meet. The Baker Street Property Meet is the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking event. The property market is going through monumental change right now, and at Baker Street Property Meet we aim to keep you up to date with the latest tips and tricks and insider tactics to help you keep on top of your property investing game and succeed in these troubled economic times. The Baker Street Property Meet is fundamentally about networking, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And at Baker Street, we aim to connect you with the people to make your property journey a monumental success. There's no better place to be to further your property investment journey than the Baker Street Property Meet. So make sure you're here, you're connecting with myself and Andrew Roberts, our expert guest speakers, and 300 passionate property people each and every month. See you at the next meet. Get your spot at bakerstreetpropertymeet.com.